Thank you, Mr. Ali, for making time for this interview. This conversation focuses on capturing your experiences, lessons, and institutional knowledge from your time as an Assistant Registrar in charge of Regulation and Compliance with Directorate. Now, this interview will take about an hour, and we'll move from operational matters to broader institutional reflections towards the end of the interview. So we really hope that it will take 1 hour. But again, we are not going to restrict you from sharing your knowledge because we want to harvest as much as possible from you. So to begin, I'd like to ground the discussion in your role and responsibilities. Now, can you describe your key responsibilities as the Assistant Registrar in charge of Regulation and Compliance Directorate? Karibu.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. I think it's a pleasure to have this experience sharing meeting, particularly at a time when my tenure is coming to an end at ORPP. I'm really honored to share a bit of my experience so that we can contribute to knowledge management and institutional memory for ORPP's use. Yes, I've been around for the last 5 years and 4 months, and I just want to say that it has been a really very satisfying experience. Of course, not without challenges, but is one that I'm proud about and that I also have benefited from in terms of personal and professional growth. Coming back to your question, I think I want to take that question in 2 parts. As the Assistant Registrar of Political Parties in charge of regulation, I play two twin roles. One is as a member of the plenary, and the other is as the head of a directorate and as a coordinator of a directorate. So I want to start with the other one. The first one as being a member of the plenary, which is the policy organ of ORPP, and at that level, I say it has been a very good experience. It has been an experience full of collegiality and experience where teamwork has really played out very well between the 3 members for the plenary for the longest that we've been here, and also for the last 2 months, 4 members has also been an enriching experience. As a member of plenary, basically what we do is do stewardship of the organization in terms of strategy and policy, giving the organization strategic direction and ensuring that the ORPP is able to deliver on its mandate in terms of giving direction and ensuring the achievements of the mission and vision as well as the mandate of the ORPP. It's also mandated to bring together a team that is able to assist the registrar in terms of delivery of the mandate and give strategic direction to that team. So as much as that is concerned, we've done quite a bit of work in terms of being able to come up with the strategic direction through the 2 strategic plans that I have been able to contribute to. The first strategic plan is 2020-2025, which actually came in just as we came in. We were working on that plan and ensured that it's produced and launched 2020-2025, and we've been able also to review in the midterm the strategic plan and been able to take ourselves back to track for the areas that we've not been able to be on track. And as well as after that, we were also able to do the 2025-2028 strategic plan. Those are some of the key achievements. In terms of policy, we've been able to actually document a lot of policy. That is one area which I can say the plenary, together with the team, has really overworked. And I can count out to 17 policy documents, policy and procedure documents, as well as manuals that we were able to develop from the scratch, many of them. But a few of them also reviewing them to, to be in touch with the changing and evolving work environment and technological advancement. So we've reviewed the ones that are existing, but also been able to come up with very many policies from scratch. If I can touch on a few of them, we have the electronic staff performance appraisal system.
Pardon?
The electronic staff appraisal system, the automated leave management system, the ORPP. We were able to put the ORPP on e-citizen platform. We were able to develop a number of policies, departmental policies and SOPs. For example, the compliance, the registration, the records management, the communication, the partnership, the records management. Quite a number of finance and accounts, manual procurement, supply chain. On almost all of the departments, we were able to come up with the policies as well as the standard operating procedures. That is one key achievement that I'm really proud about, together with the plenary leadership as well as the management team as well as the whole staff. We were able to come up with, of course, even the resource center policy and many others, and we were able to digitize a number of our records, together with coming up with the digitalization policy. Most of it also, we've been able to come up with policies that are going to guide the political parties. Key among them is actually the political parties finance, accounts and procurement policy manual, which parties use to manage their affairs. We've been also able to work on documents of our key stakeholder, which is the audit committee, and we were able to develop both the charter as well as the strategic plan of our audit committee. So there are very many, and I want to maybe, because of time, stop there on the role as a member of plenary, giving stewardship and strategic direction to the institution. The other role, of course, is being the responsible for regulation and compliance directorate in terms of coordination as well as supervision of the directorate. And that I was not only in charge of compliance for the last 5 years. I've also been able to give strategic direction to a number of other departments, including human resource, administration, planning and strategy, as well as some bit of partnership regarding the political parties liaison committee. So it has been a really huge role, and as well as political parties fund. So I've been coordinating a number of those roles, and I want to say the core responsibility was basically to oversee the regulation and compliance of political parties with the Political Parties Act and related regulations. And to that extent, we were able to go beyond the issues of enforcement, and we went beyond the statutory oversight because it involved day-to-day engagement of political parties and a lot of reviews, and also ensuring that we have the institutional capacity that's able to support the work of compliance enforcement. That's why the administration and the human resource, as well as the strategy and planning, comes in very handy in my role as the head of regulation and compliance. As I said, there is the work of regulation, and there is also that of support activities. If I talk about regulation and compliance, basically my role was to develop strategies and policies for compliance and regulation. It is also to develop guidelines and procedures for tracking compliance, to develop regulations for the implementation of the PPA, Political Parties Act, supervise and ensure compliance with the provisions of the law, sensitize and build capacities of political parties, identify and coordinate implementation of capacity building programs. So basically, those are some of the functions under compliance. Under planning and research, I was spearheading supervision of the department in terms of coordinating the development of the office strategic plan, annual work plans and annual reports. I've been able also to guide the organizational performance management system, including performance contract, monitoring and evaluation of the office plans, and coordination of information, provision of information, and creating effective structure for knowledge management. With regards to human resource, as I said, we've been able to develop a number of instruments. We've been able to initiate change management regarding the grading structure, and a lot of capacity building and training of staff, restructuring and improvement of the office establishment. When we joined, we were about 69 staff. Now we are proud of to be about 120, nearly slightly less than 120, and we were able to increase our official establishment up to almost close to 300 approved establishments. So those are some of the gains. In terms of administration, of course, also I've been coordinating that role, and we were ensuring that there are good office space, security, logistics and transport, as well as contract management, as well as cleaning, and also ensuring that we are having conducive work environment for performance of our role. So those are some of the key responsibilities that have been undertaken. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think you've actually mentioned some media tools and frameworks that you applied as Assistant Registrar. You've mentioned policies, you've also mentioned strategic plans, both targeting political parties and indeed internally for staff with the different departments that you are overseeing. Of course, dealing with political parties, I'm sure, can be daunting sometimes, and indeed you've mentioned some of the tools and frameworks. Just to add on those tools, how did you ensure that political parties adhered to the Political Parties Act and other relevant laws, in addition to the policies and plans that you've mentioned?
Thank you. Yeah, I think the frameworks are clear. Some of them are statutory frameworks, others are also administrative and operational frameworks. As you've rightly put it, we have the Act, which is the biggest framework. We also have the party constitutions, which are another key framework that we use in terms of ensuring compliance. We also have the regulations, attendant regulations to the Political Parties Act. We have circulars that we give through the Office of the Registrar, and also the internal compliance guidelines. Those are the major frameworks. Apart from that, operationally, we also relied on reports from, we also have developed compliance checklists and party inspection tools. We also have a number of statutory forms through which parties are able to give their returns that are compliance in nature, returns. There are some, every year parties are supposed to make some returns, and we were able to do that in terms of giving the statutory templates. And all those frameworks and tools have really helped us ensure compliance by political parties, and I want to say that we have seen positive trajectory in terms of compliance levels that have been growing. It's of course not an overnight activity. It is a progressive realization of full compliance by all political parties with the Political Parties Act, and it has been very positive, and those frameworks have been able to help us really achieve growth with regards to ensuring compliance. And all that is complemented with operational activities like compliance audits that we usually conduct every quarter, and give a report and guidance to political parties. We have also been able to enforce compliance through disbursement of funds. Sometimes when political parties are not compliant, we withhold those funds and give them timelines before we release those funds. And some of the publication internally between us and the political parties of the compliance status also have really contributed to improvement in compliance. Once you publish and you tell them these are your non-compliance areas and you have to do them within, correct them within a certain timelines, that in itself has really helped us, ensuring compliance. Thank you.
Now, with those frameworks in mind, we'd like to understand, within the period that you've said 5 years, 4 months, how has the directorate itself changed over this time, in your perspective?
I think it has changed in a very big way. I remember in my first days in the office, when I joined the directorate, we were largely reactive and very much enforcement focused. And we were like, you don't do this, we register you, we don't do this, we take action without really focusing much on what are the causes. Why are the parties resisting? So I think we learned that that is not very productive. Sometimes it's counterproductive. We take action and then they react, go to court. We are in court. A lot of push and pull here and there, and I realized it's not very effective. So over time, therefore, I've seen the directorate shift from enforcement and reactive to a more structured and preventive approach. That is one of the key things that I've said the departments have evolved to. There are now very clear documentation different from when I joined, better internal coordination, as well as improved engagement with political parties. That I could summarize them in just those few statements and say that there are more emphasis on capacity building for compliance rather than punishment. And we have also strengthened internal procedures, standard reporting formats, and we have also aligned compliance work more closely with some of the very critical things to parties like funding, and that has really helped us. We have seen that evolution of the directorate to a more proactive and preventive approach rather than just applying sanctions left, right, and center.
You mentioned documentation. That brings us to the second section of our interview, records. What records or documents do you consider indispensable for historical and compliance purposes?
We are very heavy on records. As ORPP, that is actually our business, because records are very critical in terms of capturing whatever is happening. And the first thing I would say, which is a very indispensable record, are party files. Those files carry a lot of history and a lot of rich experience. And it's interesting to note that some of the parties have files that have grown to 21 volumes. You see, volume 1 up to 21. And they are not small files. Volume 1 could carry up to around 200 to the 300 documents. So the key thing that we really need to and there are a lot of experiences, the kind of correspondences, the kind of instruments shared, circulars in those files, and the communication between the office and the parties and the engagements is a very, very rich resource. So that is the starting point. And I'm happy to say that we have started, digitizing those records, because otherwise we will not even have space to be able to accommodate all those records. That initiative has started, and also there has been effort to, since last year, to come up with compliance management information system that will come in largely to help in storing all those very important data in a digital form. Another key, of course, is the inspection reports. Those also are learning points. You will see how things have grown from the time in the past to the current time, when there are a lot of improvement in terms of compliance. Those reports and the statutory returns that the parties give every year, including financial accountability records, and those are really very important records. Then internally, the policies and procedure manuals are very important records that we learn from, that we'll even use even to train our staff and even our stakeholders. I think those are some of the key records that are critical both for institutional memory and also for defending the regulatory decisions that we make, because some of the regulatory decisions that we make emanate from those records. So for that purpose and for institutional memory, those are the key, very important records. Okay. Thank you. Yes.
And do you see, this is maybe off the cuff, but do you see this information being useful to, for example, people conducting research in matters political science? Do you think the kind of people you're talking about, is that because there are records of this information,
yes,
pertaining to the political parties? Are some of those information potentially useful to a researcher, for example?
Yeah.
Or are they just for administrative?
I think the answer is obvious. It is going. That's why I said it's important for institution also and for our stakeholders, and the researchers really can benefit from that rich resource for academic purpose, for research purpose, and even for policy purpose. Those records and the information that derive from those records are very useful in making very important decisions, policy decisions, and also for contributing to the development of knowledge in the area of political science, political organization, and also citizens' rights, political rights. A lot of research areas can benefit from, including even human rights, because political rights are also human rights, democracy and good governance. A lot of areas, international relations. Researchers in all those areas can really benefit from the rich data and resources that are available in those records.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, turning now to implementation realities, I'd like to explore some of the challenges you've encountered as Assistant Registrar in that docket. Now, what were the biggest compliance challenges you encountered in enforcing the Political Parties Act?
Of course, there are a number of challenges. I can't say the journey has been smooth, but on the top of my head, I could say the biggest challenge was weak internal structures of political parties. Political parties initially were registered just for elections. Political parties did not see themselves as institutions that are supposed to serve certain roles. And rightly so, because even in our development of our jurisprudence and our regulatory framework, we have not been very clear on what are the roles of political parties until 2022 amendment to the Political Parties Act, when we clarified that there are certain roles political parties have to play. So emanating from that, parties have not been seeing themselves as institutions. They have just been seeing themselves as people mobilizing themselves during elections, competing, winning a few seats, or completely not getting any seat, then remaining dormant until the next election. But that is not the purpose of political parties. Political parties are supposed to be institutions that have structures, and that is the spirit of our constitution. Even in the letter of our constitution, there are requirements. Political parties have to continue to exist and play their roles, even if they have not won elections. So that has been the biggest compliance headache for us. Parties had very weak systems. They did not have policies. They do not have, the offices that they are maintaining have not been very elaborate. That has been the biggest headache in terms of the challenges that we have faced. There has also been, of course, the lack of understanding of the regulatory framework. Some of the parties were just interested in the registration requirements alone, So they feel that when they have met the minimum requirement for registration and they have gotten the certificate, that's the end of it. But the work starts after registration. The work of compliance and ensuring that the parties play their role is after registration. So that misunderstanding has also been another challenge. And of course, there are also challenges around leadership wrangles and a lot of transition within the leadership of political parties. I think those are the key things that I would say have been a challenge. And of course, the obvious one also is resource challenges for political parties. Sometimes you try to enforce compliance and you see these parties are very weak in terms of resources, and some of those compliance requirements require resources for them to be able to be compliant. So those are the challenges, and of course we were able to address most of it, balancing also those sensitivities against the challenges that we've been able to see. But those, I would say, are the major challenges. Yes.
Okay. And as you rightly said, you've tried to address them.
Yes.
So what practices or interventions had greatest impact on improving these compliance rates among political parties?
I think we have learned that engagement works. Engagement is the key thing. Parties needed to be engaged for them to understand the compliance requirements well. And I've said one of the challenges is knowledge gap and misunderstanding of the law. So after we were able to do a number of clinics, compliance clinics, a lot of one-on-one advisories between the officials of parties, a bit of capacity building, it really worked. And it has really contributed to improvement in terms of compliance. Another key thing is timely feedback. Timely feedback to parties whenever they ask clarification or whenever they ask for certain advice and direction. We've been able to give them a very, very timely feedback. It has contributed a lot. We have also been able to apply the rules consistently. That, I think, was a game changer. When parties realized that whether the parties that have huge following and the ones that have less membership are treated equally, and they see big, I can't say there are no big or small parties, but there are parties probably that have big membership. They have very many elected officials in the party, in parliament and assemblies. Others may have very little representation, but they face equal compliance, implementation and enforcement. Then they realize that, there are no favors, there are no blue-eyed boys, and that is the rules are applied consistently. That really has helped us, for the parties to be able to improve the compliance, and that fairness, that perception of fairness and predictability in enforcement has really, really contributed. And finally, the issue of linking compliance to funding was also a big thing for us, so that if you're not compliant, any entitlement of fund are withheld, so that then it can only be released when you comply. Yes, those are some of the things that have led to improvement in compliance.
Okay, that's well taken. Of course, now what you've mentioned are interventions directly on the political parties. How about interventions that had to be done internally within the staff in the department?
Yes. I think I addressed that in terms of well-documented procedures, very, very clear checklists. Also capacity building of staff on professionalism and public relations, timely the ensuring that there are standard operating procedures for compliance that now will guide everybody, and that also helped us in now applying the rules consistently and fairly. those are some of the initiatives that that we have been able to help internally in terms of coordination, improved documentation, very clear guidelines and checklists, the standard operation procedures. Yes.
Okay. Let's now look at how the office supported political parties to comply, not just enforcing compliance. How did you engage with political parties to build their capacity for compliance? For example, the training.
Yes. I think, that as I've said in my earlier responses, it was one of the things that the department has evolved to, and we have seen preventive and supportive approach for ensuring compliance. And the capacity building, we have now, initially we did not have a capacity building department. We just had a capacity building officer when I joined, who was handling capacity building both for internal staff and even the political parties. Now, as we are speaking, we have a fully fledged capacity building department for political parties, headed by a head of department within the compliance directorate. That's a big achievement, and those are some of and it has really improved engagement frameworks. We are now doing structured training. It's not just thinking and say this is good for the parties. We do engagement. We do training need analysis, which is stakeholder political parties focus, asking them where do you think you need training on. From our own audit, compliance audit, we see areas of weaknesses, and from there now we develop training program, curriculum, and training materials to be able now to conduct those trainings. So engagement includes induction section for when newly elected party officials. We do that when there are changes. We also do training through compliance clinics. We do one-on-one advisories. We train them on ICT and IPPMS, because that's one of the tools that we use in compliance, which is interactive from even the parties side. So those are some of the of the ways in which we do training. We do workshops. We do one-on-one advisories. We also give guidelines, written guidelines, step-by-step guidelines on some of the key issues. When we cannot be able to bring all parties together, we issue those guidelines, and the guidelines really help. Very clear, well-written guidelines, and then we do face-to-face engagement in terms of clarifying any issues that are not well understood. And that really proved very effective, and we have seen results. Yes.
How easy is it to get political party officials to attend these training sessions? Considering that I'm sure some of the training sessions take a whole day, take up much of the time. What motivational, practices, or how do you get them to actually attend?
Yeah, I think it is very important question, and the issue is now, actually we don't struggle because it's needs driven. And this capacity building, actually some of them are demanded by the political parties. And when we invite, of course, we support the participants through facilitation of the conference and also some transport here and there. But essentially, it is needs driven, and the parties and the officials know that when they miss on a particular training, they are missing on an opportunity to improve their operations and their systems. So it has not been a big challenge in terms of, and they have been very cooperative, and they have been attending those trainings whenever they are called upon by the office. Okay. Yes.
So what else the training? They're fully registered plus provisional? Or
No, the training purely is for the fully registered political parties. For the provisionally registered, we just do guidance on the process to full registration through letters, through correspondences, so that we guide them on the whole process. But once they attain the status of full registration, that is now a fully registered political party that have all the rights. Those are the ones that we engage in their capacity building.
Okay. Yes. Now, this leads us directly to questions of knowledge capture and transfer. I know you already mentioned some documents, policies, strategic plans, the SOPs. Out of all this, and maybe some more that you might mention, which do you think should be prioritized for knowledge transfer to our knowledge management hub?
Yeah, I think as I've already talked about those very important documents, but apart from that, I think I would want to say that priority should be given to, regarding compliance and regulation, priorities should be given to the compliance manuals, the SOPs, and the reports that emanate. The reports are very important. The reports that emanate from inspection and from compliance audit. Those are the key, of course, documents that is very important for knowledge management, because those reports are rich in terms of their findings and in terms of the recommendations that are put in those reports after the findings are discussed. But there are also a lot of instruments that we give, guidelines, circulars. They're also of interest in terms of being put in the knowledge management prioritization list. Yes.
Okay. So, in addition to this form of documents, there's often important tacit knowledge that is worth preserving.
Yes.
Are there any undocumented practices, tips that you could recommend we capture for future compliance officers? It's a bit of a very tricky question.
Yes.
But tacit knowledge is normally very hard to capture.
Okay.
Yeah.
From my experience, I think I would. There are some key information that you get from our stakeholders, including political parties and consultants that we deal with. Before we go to the official documentation, the informal meetings that we have brings out a lot of tacit knowledge. And sometimes when you go to a formal setting, people are restrained, people are calculative, and you get what they really sieve. But one of the key things that I've learned is that being able to be keen when you're doing informal engagement. And if you're able to capture those moments of informal engagements, I would really say that a lot of information and knowledge that can lead to improvement can be tapped. So I would say let's track those informal engagements. Let's let all of us who are engaging our stakeholders take notes in the informal setup, and from there, those notes can be developed into knowledge. Those oral engagements, those oral informal engagements, can really help us benefit from some of the things that you will not find after those engagements. You task them, okay, let's do this, let's prepare a document. Some of those things will not appear in those documents. So I think that is one thing that I would say. There are also some verbal commitments. I remember when we engage parties in clinics, compliance clinics, parties make very good verbal commitments, and then you now write to them when you come back to the office. You tell them in the clinic. We usually tell what the areas of non-compliance, and we ask them, you need to really handle these things. They will comment, no, we're going to handle this. It's going to take us 2 weeks. Not more than that, we're able to. And then, okay, we say, okay, to write formally to you, putting those commitments, then you will see plethora of excuses after that. When they are corresponding back, you say, oh, we need this. We need So those are some of the key comments. If you're able to capture and produce and tell them, you said this, and keep your word, I think those are some of the ways in which we can capture. So I would suggest the way we can capture those is, even in our informal engagement, let us come up with standard response templates. If we come up with standard response templates just in our conversation, and we capture it as we are doing informally, then that will be able to be a good source of knowledge. Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. I think you're right. Even in regards to our own internal workings within the compliance department,
yes,
other departments at ORPP, having those informal settings really help, because it's within those informal settings that you're even able to copy other people's mannerisms. Like, for example, the way you deliver a directive might not have the same impact as somebody else, because of probably the way you do it.
Exactly.
So those things are not able to document. So when you have those
engagements,
you're able to copy and learn from one another.
I totally agree.
I think that's a good pointer. Looking beyond these specific items, I'd like to ask about sustaining institutional memory more broadly. So, what would you recommend for maintaining institutional memory in the Regulation and Compliance Directorate after your departure?
I think one of the key recommendations is what we are doing today. I think if we've been able to do this for all those who are leaving our institution, I know the HR department does a few of exit interviews, and but you know, those interviews that you just fill a form, sometimes you are non-committal, and you might think that let me just finish it because it's part of my clearance process, and you not put time into it. And good organizations, good institutions put a lot of weight on in terms of, you know, getting, documenting, and having a structured approach to knowledge management system. So I think what we are doing today is very important, being able to share experience, document it, so that can be used. Another key thing which is critical is a properly, written, factual handing over reports. I think that's also another way of managing institutional memory. Personally, I'm actually working on my handing over report, which is a document that will capture all these insights that we are talking about. Will be captured in that report, which I'm going to hand over tomorrow. That is also a very good practice in terms of ensuring sustainability and institutional memory. And in that way, we are able to document the lessons that are learned, even from my experience, and the lessons that I've learned. That will also benefit the institution from learning from those experiences that I have shared. But let's not also wait for exit alone. I think another practice is also regular debriefs, because like now I'm doing this, there are a lot of things that I can't remember, because 5 years and 4 months is a long time. So if we can even do a half yearly debrief from those, almost from management to even some of the officers handling critical roles, that can be very good knowledge institutional memory, so that we don't just wait for somebody to exit, but regular debriefs is also, I think, very important. It will be able to help institutionalize experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to the compliance issues. Do you foresee what emerging compliance issues do you foresee for the office in the next few years?
I think I see compliance to becoming more complex. You see, as we grow, we are doing the political dynamic and environment. The political environment is very dynamic. We also seen growth in technology, and so we really need to be prepared for those changes in terms of the emerging issues in compliance. We also seen political environment, moving more towards coalition building, and single parties are becoming, parties are realizing that they can do very little on their own, and political achievements can be achieved through, coalition building. So we need to really focus on how to ensure compliance among coalitions. You know, we have been very, very particular on compliance by individual political parties. I think that's one of the areas that are emerging. Another area which we need to focus on is dispute resolution. We are also seeing as parties grow, as competition, political competition becomes more stiff. There are bound to be more disputes, and so the compliance should be able to focus. The next cycle of compliance should be able to focus on cohesion building within political parties, and also strengthening the internal dispute resolution mechanism. The most importantly, there is going to be a very high public scrutiny. We're also getting our citizens and party members are becoming more enlightened, and it will come a time when citizens will come and take this office to account in terms of measures that they are taking to ensure that parties are compliant and that they are able to enjoy their democratic rights. So public scrutiny is key, and then therefore our compliance should be focused in ensuring that we meet the public expectation in terms of ensuring compliance. There will be also more judicial scrutiny. This calls for parties to be able to be more compliant, and also our decisions as an office to be more judicious and be sensitive about the rule of law. So that is also our compliance should be targeted towards that. I think those are some of the key things that I can quickly say are the emerging issues.
Yeah.
Yes.
And especially now, also we have so many people going by the last elections trend.
Yes.
We had so many independent candidates.
Yes.
And there are quite a number of them that were elected.
Yes. Exactly.
That's also another thing that is becoming more and more interesting. But I guess the independent candidates come up because probably there are people who've lost faith in political parties, or political parties have let them down. So there's that increase or surge in independent candidates coming up.
Sure.
And also there have been talk of political parties saying that now that technology is something that we're all grasping, why not now start recognizing virtual offices so that we're not demanding that they have a physical office? That's something that you have considered within the department.
Yeah, I think those demands have been there. Those recommendations from parties have been there all along, and we are not opposed to those recommendations, and they are valid because yes, we need to benefit from the technology, and the only issue is that, what parties need to understand is that those offices are not for ORPP.
Yes.
They need to understand the purpose of those offices is to serve the citizens and their membership. So to what extent are those virtual offices able to give those services? That is what they need to understand, because the development of technology is not uniform across our counties. And is that process going to be excluding others? And so those are some of the questions, and very valid questions that we are posing. But most importantly is also a question of the law. The law does not cater for virtual offices. Yes, so so again, if we are to go there as an implementer and a duty bearer of the Political Parties Act, we can only do what the law says. So if those recommendations find themselves in legal and reform and find themselves in the Act, as a state office, we will be implementing what the Act says. But the biggest hindrance actually is now the law. Apart from even those practical challenges of being able to serve the citizens, the bottom line is the law. Yes. So the recommendation that we've been giving them, you propose those, let it find themselves in our laws, and they will not have a problem. Yes.
Fine. So as we conclude this section, I'd like to ask subsection focus questions. what advice would you give to your successor in this role?
Advice. It's very difficult to advise my successor. But in brief, I just want to say, for this position, I would say, understand the law deeply. Because this is an office which is a regulatory office. So your biggest strength will be thorough understanding of the law and the regulatory framework. After understanding, apply it with fair judgment. If you're able to do that, you are good to go. Understanding it and, of course, applying it fairly and consistently. Secondly, build positive relationship, professional relationship with political parties, without compromising your regulatory independence. So if you're able to balance that, positive, professional, not personal, professional relationship, but still ensuring a regulatory independence. Not forgetting that you are still a regulator of political parties. So what I'm saying is we don't have to be antagonist with political parties. It will be counterproductive. Another final thing I'll say is invest time and energy in mentoring your team. Your strength is your team. Let them be your biggest priority. You will succeed. Sandra.
Okay. Thank you so much for those very practical reflections. I can see we have about 5 minutes.
Okay.
To fill in this. Would you, from your perspective, how would you describe the corporate culture of ORPP, and how has working with ORPP fraternity influenced the way the office delivers on its mandate?
Corporate culture. I think generally my experience of ORPP corporate culture is positive. And it is mission driven. I have had very good experience. The team has a very strong sense of public service and commitment. That's one value I think that is very positive, and which has made this office to grow in leaps and bounds. People really take the mandate of the office very, very seriously, and there is real pride in all the staff that I have interacted with, from the most junior to the highest level. And so that is a very positive thing that I've observed. I have seen teamwork to a certain level. Teamwork exists, particularly when we have a challenge and during peak period. I have seen a lot of teamwork. But sometimes that teamwork is a bit reactive. When conditions are not peak and we are in the normal operation zone, sometimes there is some bit of relaxation. That's where some of the observations of silo mentality comes in, which I've had discussions around it in some of our strategy meetings. So there's some bit of relaxation when we are not peak and when we are not under a bit of challenge. So I want, maybe one of the key things that we need to work on is teamwork throughout the circle, not just when we are facing challenges and during peak seasons. Maybe that's the one thing. That said, I think the culture is evolving. This is a young institution, but of course also we've had team from different areas. We have the new team that have joined us. We have also the team that came from government departments and ministries, and we also have the team that came from the IEBC, and I think they have yelled very well. But you know, everybody comes with their culture, so that culture is strengthening and it's evolving. And what we need to do is we need to, instead of now the knowledge and experience of individuals that come together have to be embedded into a system. For us now to have a concrete culture that we can really describe as the ORPP culture. So that is what I can say for now. We need to do an audit culture audit. Then we are able to come up with the key moments and artifacts of this institution that we can say this is now the culture of ORPP. But generally, that is my experience, and I think it's a very largely positive, evolving, and looking bright as we move forward. Yes,
that's very good. Thank you for that advice and, and your comments. Finally, I'd like us to look forward and ahead. Looking ahead, what collaborative opportunities do you see between ORPP and the office that you're going to, and how do you envisage supporting or leveraging this collaboration from that position that you're transitioning to?
Thank you. I think being a state office and a public sector institution, there's a very close collaboration between where I'm going and the ORPP. And the mandate of SRC is, to set salaries for state officers and gives advisory on salaries and wages of public officers, and also ensuring productivity mainstreamed in the public service and ensuring that the wages and salaries that are being paid to public officers are sustainable and linked to performance. So these are key things that affect all public institutions, and I want to say ORPP is a client of SRC in terms of now those issues related to job evaluations, salary structure, grading, as well as productivity mainstreaming. And there will be a lot of working relationship between ORPP and SRC, and being here at ORPP, understanding the mandate and the office very well, I think will be one thing that will be able to guide my engagement when I handle the issues of ORPP in my new office. Over and above that, of course, being a state office also is one of the key stakeholders, because stakeholders of SRC are county governments, national government, constitutional commissions, and independent offices, and parastatals. So those are the 5 key stakeholders of SRC. So being a state office is also a stakeholder, and I see engagements are very continuous, professional engagement, but also an engagement that is not going to make me biased. I think all my work will be done professionally without bias, but with the benefit of information and insight when dealing with ORPP. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Now that brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you sincerely for your openness, your service, and the insights you shared today. Your reflections will play an important role in strengthening ORPP's institutional memory and future practice. And of course, there are more questions.
Sure. We have to minimize. Yeah.
And so my humble request is, should we have more questions?
No problem. I'll be available.
Over to you,
no problem.
Document them for us.
No problem. I'll be available. I'll also, of course, give my handover report, a copy to the resource center. And yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a very good experience, very pleasure for this engagement. But I also want to thank you for the opportunity that you have accorded to me to be able to share my experiences. And I hope that it will help the institution, even in the smallest way possible. Asante sana.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.